Hi, this is Chris, and today on my channel we're going to discuss weight and ideal weight. And I'm going to guess at the end of this video what your ideal weight is. So what I need you to do right now is I want you to think about what is the weight that you consider the ideal weight for you. Okay, now think of that number. I know you know this number, but keep it in your mind, and I'm going to pick up on it. On the end of the video, I'm going to guess that number. So remember that number, okay? All right, let's talk about weight in general. America has just gotten larger and larger over the years. 50 years ago, we were significantly smaller, and today it is half the people are overweight or obese. There was a statistic that the average male, 20 years to old age, is an average height of 5'9" and weighs 197.6 pounds and has a waist circumference of 40 inches. That is the average male from 20 years old to old age. Now, we're going to come back to that average in a minute. One of the most common ways that we talk about and measure weight is called the BMI, Body Mass Index. And it is statistical data that they've gathered on a large population of both males and females, where they measure height and weight, and they categorize them as far as underweight, normal weight, overweight, obese, and excessively obese. And they've come up with a mathematical formula to calculate a number to see where you fall into this large database. Basically, they take your weight, happens to be in kilograms, divided by your height, which is in centimeters in this formula, and they multiply that by 2, and then that will give you a number, and the number's usually in the high teens, 20s, or 30s. So if you are 18.5 or less in that calculation, you're considered underweight. If you are 18.5 to 24.9, you're considered normal weight. If you are 25 to 30, you're considered overweight. If you're 30 to 40, you're obese. And if you're 40 to 50, you're morbidly obese. And so a lot of ways for the average person, the BMI number doesn't really give a lot of information that you can take home, because if you come back at 24 or 30, what does that number really mean to you? Most people want a specific weight to identify. They don't want an equation from the BMI. It's just not that helpful to the average person. But back to that statistic I gave you, that the average American adult male is 5'9" and weighs 197.6 pounds. Now, if we plug that into the BMI formula, it will come back with a number of 29.2. And if we look at this chart, that would put them in the upper class of being overweight. If that number was 30, that average male would be considered obese. And that is the average male in America, is on the verge of obesity, the average male. Now, in that same statistic, they put the average waist size of a male in America is 40 inches. The circumference around their waist is 40 inches. A real good indicator of cardiovascular and metabolic consequences from being obese is to look at the ratio between waist and height. And if your waist is greater than 50% of your height, you are at high risk. So back to that average male in America, if his waist is 40 inches And his height is 60, we said 5'9", so it's 60 plus 9, 59. That would be 40 divided by 59, and that would come out to be 0.58. So that's significantly greater than 0.5. And so the average male in America is at significant risk for diabetes and cardiovascular disease because of adipose deposition, particularly in the interabdominal cavity, around the viscera, around the gut. When you have a lot of fat deposition inside the gut itself, it really messes with your metabolic system, with your ability to regulate lipids, your cholesterol, your triglycerides, and it also affects your blood sugar regulation, insulin, and therefore we end up with diseases such as diabetes 2. So not allowing fat deposition in the interabdominal, or specifically wanting to lose the fat in the interabdominal cavity, has to be a number one goal of people that want to lose fat. This is where you want to lose it, inside your gut. So if the BMI is not really a valuable tool for the average person to figure out, what they should weigh, is there another one? And that is a formula called ideal body weight. And in this formula for men, because I'm talking about men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, you take height in inches, and for the first 5 feet, we give them 110 pounds. And each subsequent inch after that, they get 6 pounds. So let's assume, we'll take me for example, I'm 5'11". So for the first 5 feet, I get 110 pounds. And for the next 11 inches, I get 6 pounds, which is 66 pounds plus 110 is 176 pounds. Okay, now that is exactly what I do weigh. So I'm at ideal weight, but I'm on the thinner side. I've carried 15 pounds more than I carry right now, and I would, if anybody was at that weight, I would tell them they're just fine. So what I recommend to most people is to come up with the ideal weight formula for their weight and then add 10%. So in my case, that'd be 110 pounds plus 66 pounds, 176 pounds, plus 17.6 pounds, brings us up to that 176 pounds, pretty much what I am right now. And so I believe that is the weight that you pick for your ideal weight. So what was that number that I asked you to remember? And calculate right now what your ideal weight. So 110 pounds for the first 5 feet, and then each additional inch. If it's 10 inches, it's 60 pounds, 11 inches, 66 pounds, 12 inches, 72 pounds, and so forth. Add those together, and then add 10% to that number, and I believe that is your ideal weight that you had in your mind. Let me know if I'm right in the comments section or not. Okay, so we've covered weight. When people talk about weight loss, which is one way to describe what they'd like to do, I think it's better to look at it as fat loss. Nobody just wants to lose weight. You don't want to lose muscle mass. You don't want to lose bone mass. All you really want to lose is fat, okay? Because most people are carrying too much fat. The body only needs 2 to 5% fat for essential body fats. And everything after that is just extra storage of energy. Now, super athletes will come in at 10% body fat, and good, at-home athletes could come in at 15% fat. I would tell you that you should not carry over 20% fat and be healthy. That's where I would draw my line. Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. So make sure you know your ideal weight, what you're shooting for. Add that 10% at the end. That'll give a more realistic value. And in the future videos, I'm going to talk about specific forms of diet when we deal with weight loss and fat loss in particular, because the diet should be geared toward losing fat. And that's what we'll talk about on another video. Well, that completes the video, and I will talk in subsequent videos about specific diet techniques about losing fat. All right, I'll see you on the next video. Good night.